West. I am your host, of course, Jake Thomas, and as always, I'm joined by our other host, Stacey Blackwood. Stacey, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. It's Friday, so looking forward to the
Mm,
weekend. We got plans here in just a little bit ourselves,
yeah,
so ready to get this podcast out, this live stream out. So excited to be here. Excited to talk about some SEC West uh, things, and I think there's a thing or two going on right now, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. Hang on, you smell that? It smells like garbage burning.
I
Wait,
smell it too.
yeah, I think we're talking about the Auburn football program right now. It's hot garbage.
It is a disaster.
Yeah.
I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
you see the title of this episode, Auburn
Hmm.
football is in disarray, and that's really about the best way to put it, Jake.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on right now with Auburn football and their head coach Brian Harsin?
Well, it started. We normally do Tuesday nights on this, but we had some conflicts come up. But it actually worked out that we was able to do it on Friday because so much has come out since Tuesday when we
Right.
wanted to first talk about it. I mean, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. You had Austin Davis who just been there like 2 months, and
Yeah.
now he was like he's seen that shit show and was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what's going on internally at Auburn football wise, but it's not looking good right now.
Yeah. I mean, you have the situation with Austin Davis. I think he was
Hmm.
hired last month, the beginning of
Yeah,
January or so, and uh, didn't even make it to spring practice before he resigns from his offensive coordinator position. I mean, it didn't take him but a month to realize the disaster that was Auburn football at the time. So there's a lot going on down there, a lot that we don't know. There's a lot of speculation going on that we're not really going to dive into.
right.
Just get on Twitter or Facebook and you can find out a little more about about that. But stuff that is being released, Jake, is players talking
Yes.
about how they've been mistreated and whatnot. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I would like to hear your thoughts on players, current and former, coming out and kind of talking against Brian Harsin and maybe his mistreatment of the players.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things that's come out today, and I mean, there's been a lot of them. Lee Hunter has come out, Smoke Monday. I mean, two. I'm not really sure how big Lee Hunter made an impact, but I know Smoke Monday made a big impact on that program. Last year, and him coming out and saying, it's not looking good, and a lot of them has said there was a reason why Bo Nix left, and I mean, Patrick Nix is an alum down there, so if all this is actually happening, Bo Nix to leave Auburn because of all this, that's kind of huge because I mean, his dad is an alum down there, so it's kind of odd.
It's a strange situation, and
Hmm.
like you mentioned, it kind of all started with the decision of Bo Nix to transfer from Auburn, being
Yeah,
being kind of a legacy player there, and so that kind of really opened up the can of worms, so to speak.
dude.
And it's just kind of been the domino effect ever since then. And it's kind of strange to look at it from an Alabama fan's perspective. If there's any Auburn fans that happen to be watching, please jump in the chat and kind of give us your thoughts on how you feel about that. Or fans of any school, please jump in the chat and give us your thoughts on anything regarding the SEC right now. So, but like we said. We're kind of fortunate as Alabama fans because, of course, Pete Golden was arrested for a DUI, and then the
Yeah.
next day, this Harsin news just comes out, and it's just overtaken Pete Golden. I'm sure Pete Golden is thanking the good Lord for the Brian Harsin situation because it's kind of put him on the back burner of everybody's mind. So
Yeah.
it's been a crazy and wild week. I mean, we had National Signing Day.
Yeah.
We had the situation with Pete Golding, and now we've had this situation with Brian Harsin, and what a week it's been.
Yeah, and including Austin Davis leaving again the week, so it's crazy. And what kind of threw talking about Austin Davis, kind of threw me for I was like, that don't seem right. Because he said that they said it was because he didn't really enjoy the recruiting aspect. He's only been there a month. How much recruiting has he done in a month?
Right,
So
right.
that kind of, that kind of just looks a little, just sound a little odd to me. I was like, something don't jive there for me. Kirby's
Yeah.
visor.
Yeah. Yeah, they say Harsin took all the heat off Golden. That's for sure. Like
Yeah.
I said, there's not a more thankful person in this universe than Pete Golden right now for what's going on down in Auburn. So, um, you know, it's hard to take because you don't know all the details. So, and you don't want to speculate. You don't want to
Right.
just
We're not going
run.
to do that here at
Yeah, yeah,
Best of the West.
yeah. You don't want to run with every rumor that you see on social media because, I mean, 80% of what you see on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram is not factual. So,
Right.
you kind of take it with a grain of salt, and you don't really want to pile on somebody, especially when you're talking about somebody's character. You don't really want to dive into that without having all the details. So we're not going to do that. We can talk about some of the stuff that has been released, like we have already, about how some of the players have come out against Brian Harsin. But to be fair to Harsin, some of the other players have also came out and said, we think it was just tough love from Coach Harsin. So
Yeah.
I think it's a tricky situation. But let me ask you this, Jake. Do you think there's any way that Brian Harsin can recover from this?
Again, we're not going to speculate, but and if you want to know what we're not saying, like Stacey said earlier, you can go to Twitter and look. And I mean, it's all over social media. But if that did actually happen and took place, I don't know if he can recover from that. Now the tough love treatment that supposedly he's been giving the players, eventually he could probably get past that in the future. But if what is being put out there now it has happened, honestly, Bobby Petrino still hasn't recovered it, so to speak. And that just kind of, that is still going on to this day. So if that is actually happened, I don't see him recovering from that part. But if it's a tough love, yes, he'll be fine in the future. Right.
Mute, have myself muted there. I'm talking more of the fact of between the situation that he's in right now with Auburn. Do you think
Mhm.
that if it comes out that what we were kind of alluding to is not true, and it is just about some of the players not taking to the
I
way
got you.
Harsin coaches, do you think he can still recover and be the coach in Auburn? Because me personally, I don't see how
No.
he recovers from this in Auburn. I don't see how you come back from this. Does anybody have the respect of Coach Harsin? And I just don't see how he recovers from that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see anybody in that locker room that's going to, stand up if something happens at this point with him, because it's not looking good right now. And I really want to know what kind of NIL deal that Tate Bigsby made to get out of the transfer portal to stay in this situation, because
Wow, yeah,
they
I mean that's
sold him on something, because now he's going to be left, and they ain't going to have nobody
yeah.
around
Jaden
him.
Stewart in the chat says you don't need a soft coach though.
Yeah,
That's for sure. I mean,
you're right. I
uh,
agree.
uh, I'll be honest with you. When as far as that goes, I'm with Coach Harsin. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
all about some tough love from a football coach or from anybody in life, really. I mean, uh, there's a lot of point in times in my life where I've needed somebody in my face to
hmm
let me know that I'm not doing the right things, and so I don't have a problem with that part of it. But
right.
now that it's all been leaked out, and there's so many players that have gone public, I just don't see how he recovers from it.
But there's a difference between the tough love act and how it's how it's presented. So you never hear anybody talk about Saban,
Yeah.
in the locker room, and you don't have any former players come out and talk bad about Saban. He does it the right way.
Well, and
You
I'll
know,
say this: it may not be because that's probably true, but it also helps when you win championships.
right.
So,
And honestly, Brian Harson was unproven in the SEC. I'm not going to say he wasn't proven at Boise, because I mean he did win at Boise and did everything up there, but he was unproven in the SEC. That's why it made it a strange hire to begin with.
yeah, you're right.
You
You're
know,
right, Jaden. It would be unfortunate for Auburn because the timing is
yeah,
terrible. It's just 1 year removed from his. I mean, only had one season there as the head coach, so that would really set the Auburn program back a couple seasons. And obviously, they would have to go on a coaching search, and that's kind of a different discussion. And also,
Yeah.
on this with Harsin, there's a lot of talk about their athletic director Alan Green not surviving this either. So
Right.
there's a lot of moving pieces and parts right now in Auburn.
Well, here's the thing that me and a couple of buddies at work talked about today. Unless it's in his contract, that they can fire him without having to pay him. Can they afford really to fire him? Because they're still paying Gus, they're still paying Chiswick. I mean, both of them are still getting mega deals.
Well, and Jake, I don't know if you saw this or not, but they were in the negative last year as far as
Right.
profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
This is terrible timing for Auburn.
It is.
This is really bad for their football program. And to me, if there's one glimmer of hope for Harsin, it's that Auburn just can't simply afford to fire him if they cannot find cause.
Yeah, exactly. Alan Green probably thinking about it. Yeah, for sure.
It's a crazy situation. You think about, it's not even been a week since or I guess it's been right at a week since Bruce Pearl signed his, big time contract extension with Auburn.
Yeah, lifetime deal.
And now all this has happened. What a roller coaster of a week for the Auburn athletic department, and it doesn't look like this fire is going to go out anytime soon down there.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I guess it's not as bleak, if you're an Auburn fan, because you do have the number one basketball team in the country right now. You probably have the number one NBA draft eligible player playing for you right now. But football wise, and we know how deep football is down in the South. That's still Alabama's bread and butter. That's still Auburn's bread and butter. It's not a good look right now for Auburn and that department.
Yeah, hey Jaden, appreciate you tuning in and jumping in the chat. We really appreciate that. Yeah, it's a. I mean, I don't know another way to put it. It's just it's a disaster right now down there.
Yeah,
and especially from an optic standpoint, and everything is about perception. Perception's everything, Jake.
Right.
And the perception that the Auburn football program has right now, and kind of the Auburn athletic department as a whole, outside of the basketball team, it's not looking good, because it's one thing for your head coach to be scrutinized, but now your athletics director's being scrutinized. So it's not good right now for Auburn. And spring practice starts in less than 2 months, I think. So I mean,
crazy.
they're going to have to figure this out pretty soon.
Absolutely, it's going to be one to watch for sure in the coming days. There's a lot of reports out there that Harsin may not make it the weekend. So I mean, this weekend is going to be fun to watch, because a lot's going to probably come out and a lot's going to be happening. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But like we said, we're not going to speculate until it actually happens. So
correct.
There's no reason to.
Right. Brian Harsin got to get a drink or something. I'll pay.
I'll pay. Oof.
I would say Pete Golden's probably got him one, but I think Pete Golden drank them all.
Yeah, I guess we need to talk about that just to be fair.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for a couple minutes. So this is depression as well. Yeah. But Pete Golden, and we talked about it a little bit last night.
Yeah,
it's not a good look for Pete. He's supposed to be a leader of men. He's supposed to be a leader of this football program behind Nick Saban and that coaching staff. And he just let his players down. He let the coaching staff down. He let the Alabama fan base down. So it's a bad look. And there's really not much else you can add on that.
Yeah, and you pretty much said everything there is to say. But it's very unfortunate, because I mean, like you mentioned, you are the defense coordinator at Alabama, a prestigious program, a historical program, and you're the leader of a lot of young kids. You need to set an example, and bad judgments has gotten in the way, this one time. And there will be, I'm sure there'll be consequences. And like, if you go to Tide Talk, you got our, you will see our response about it last night. It's about a 10-minute video, but we don't expect him to be fired. But I mean, if it's a possibility, and that's a consequence for his action.
Right.
So, it's
Saban, to
possible.
answer your question, Jaden,
Hmm.
Saban hasn't said anything specifically about this. I think the athletic department kind of released a general statement about how they're still gathering, all the evidence from the investigation, and
Yeah,
they'll kind of release something a little bit later on once they kind of have everything. But uh, like I mentioned on the Harson deal, perception is everything, and this is not a good look for Pete Golden,
no,
or for being truthful for the University of Alabama. So.
right.
Uh, it's a little messy right now in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, and cold.
That's
Yeah,
right, man.
yeah, it's freezing down here, but yeah, it's not a good look across the board at Alabama right now, and that, I hate that as much as I cannot stand the Auburn program. They're doing good in basketball. I mean, they like and everything, and everybody, has been looking at them, but I hate it for the state itself right now because it's a bad look altogether.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that. Hey, what you talked about the basketball team. Before we wind this episode down, let's talk a little bit about the games tomorrow
Yeah,
or over the weekend in the SEC. Auburn, they play Georgia. Pretty easy win for Auburn there. Should
yeah.
be. They can probably win that game with one arm tied behind their back. But
Wish we
the
could.
yeah, to me, the biggest game of the day, and it's mainly because we're Alabama fans, but also because we're playing Kentucky.
Yeah.
Alabama's going to be hosting Kentucky tomorrow night, and that's a big time game, Jake. There's a lot at stake for Alabama. Of course, Kentucky beat the dog snot out of Kansas last Saturday and kind of flexed their muscle of how good they can be when they're
Yeah.
healthy, when Ty Washington's available, when Severe Wheeler's available. They are a elite basketball team. So it's not going to be easy for Alabama. We talked about, we joined Vinny from Believe in Kentucky Wildcats, and uh,
Mhm.
and it's the matchup between the guards. To me, is kind of a push. Jaden Shackelford, Javon Quinterly, and Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler. I think they're kind of it's a push as far as talent and how much production those guys create. But where Kentucky has the edge is on the inside, and especially on the offensive rebounding that Kentucky can do, and the defensive rebounding. And we've seen at times that cost Alabama a lot this season. So. Especially late in contests, it cost Alabama the Mississippi State game when they had like a 6-point lead. They could not rebound the last 8 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
So it cost them that game. They didn't do their job against Missouri, against Georgia. You can take the Auburn loss because it's the best team in the country right now. So no shame in that. But if they don't rebound against Kentucky,
They're in trouble.
they're in trouble.
Yeah. And Jaden said, Bama is dangerous than what their record says. I mean, I tend to agree. We talked about it a little bit last night with Vinny Harding on a Believe in Kentucky podcast, and I made the comment that this team this year has not gelled
Right.
together yet.
Right.
Last year's team it gelled as soon as the SEC hit, and they went on that historical run. And they have not done that this year. And it's different players, is a different
Well, and
dynamic, but
man, I don't think as fans we understand the importance of what Herb Jones meant to this team.
yes, yes,
And you see that playing out in the NBA right now. I mean, he's one of the best rookies in the NBA.
yeah,
I mean, truthfully, he's probably a top 5 rookie in the NBA. So
yeah,
that's not easily replaced, especially at Alabama,
yeah.
where Nate Oates is just now starting to build his program. So the depth is not what it's going to be in 2 or 3 years. So it's not easy to replace a guy like that. But still, no excuses. You still got some talent. It's
Hmm.
just the lack of leadership, not from the coaching staff, but from the players.
Yeah.
Nobody has really stepped up and taken the bull by the horn to take ownership in the team and to be the leader of the team.
Thank you, Larry, for the he said he's in Birmingham and an Ole Miss fan, but I hate all this just for the SEC West. Hope Auburn and Bama get things worked out soon. Good luck to both. Yeah, I agree,
Thanks, Larry.
100%.
Larry,
Yeah,
Ole Miss, man, I can't wait to talk some Ole Miss football this spring as we get into spring practice, because I think Jackson
absolutely.
Dart is
Oh
an
man,
elite quarterback. I think he can
Trig.
make.
I think they got
Yeah,
Trig
yeah,
coming in.
the
It's
tight
good.
end.
Yep.
He's great too. So Ole Miss is going to be scary good again. Lane Kiffin.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, It's going to be a lot of fun. So I can't wait to talk some spring football here in a few weeks. And
Absolutely.
yeah, Jaden says Bama basketball is definitely going to be scared the next couple seasons. Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it's crazy.
yeah.
I think they got the number 3 recruiting class coming in for next season. So yeah, it's the future's bright for Alabama. They're dangerous this year, but for whatever reason, they just haven't gelled. I don't know if they're going to, but if they do, they could be a dangerous team come March.
Yeah. And John, we're really not going to speculate on, I mean, that is all just hearsay right now. I have not seen a blue chip say anything as that has actually happened. But, if it does come out that is true, maybe we might talk about a little bit about it next week. But all this right now is just speculation. We have just been talking about like the former players that come out and what they said today, and Austin Davis leaving. I think that was Monday. He announced that he's left. So that's what we can and know is going on right now. All this other stuff is just kind of hearsay at this time.
Right. And especially in a situation like this with when you take the risk of hey guys from Believing the Dogs, what's up, man? Yeah, Austin Davis kind of weird. That was kind of, to me, the whole Austin Davis thing was weird from the get-go.
Yeah.
I didn't get that part. But the part about the Boise State cheerleading get a job
she was a former cheerleader.
Yes, that part is true.
That is true. But
we're talking about the other part of that story, and we don't want to dive into that because you're really taking a shot at Harson's character.
Yeah,
and without knowing the truth, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take any shots at anybody's character without having all the facts. And
I don't want nobody to take a shot at my character when it's not true. So
he was competing for more than just football. All right, here comes the jokes.
Here comes Corey, and
I've been waiting on them.
Yeah, but yeah, but going back to what Jaden said earlier, you was talking about Alabama basketball in the next couple of years is going to be great, but SEC basketball in the next couple of years. I mean, I know Alabama's still down, but last year they won the SEC regular tournament and the SEC tournament. But Kentucky's good, Auburn's good, Arkansas is finally getting together. I mean, there was legit 8-10 teams in the tournament last year,
right?
I mean, so
I can't remember. I think it was 7 is what they had last year.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a lot of talent.
Well, look, Jake, I think SEC basketball to me is the best conference in college basketball.
Absolutely.
And look, Alabama to me is the perfect example of it. They're 4-5 in SEC play, yet they've beaten Baylor, they've beaten Houston, and they've beaten Gonzaga.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so it's great, except Georgia, and somehow they beat Alabama. That is the most. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I don't want to talk about that. Congratulations, Corey. That's just garbage on our part. That was a good win for you guys.
How is Tom Crean still employed?
Ask them because he wants to know. Corey wants to know as well.
Hey, the good thing about SEC hoops, there's really not an East and a West.
Right. Yeah.
Luck is a dangerous thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But
who knows? 2022 may be Georgia's year for playing the Tide. Who knows?
It could be.
We'll see what happens come baseball and softball season.
Well, I mean, we've owned them on the court and on the field the last couple of years, but who knows?
I think they forgot he was employed. They might have. Have. Hey, and just so everyone knows, we're not going to go too long tonight. We have somewhere to be. Both Jake and I do. So we can't stay on
at
too
7.
much longer. So, but we did want to jump on here and do this episode of Best of the West to really focus on what was happening in Auburn and also with Pete Golden and Tuscaloosa, and then touch a little bit on some SEC hoops, most importantly, Alabama, of course.
Yeah. But thank you all for getting in the chat. Jaden, I think this is the first time I've seen you on any of our shows. But
yeah, Jaden, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you. Get on all of them. Larry, I think you was a new guy as well. Thanks again. We do this echoing on y'all's conference network. Right. So you'll see you'll see our show. Mine and Stacey have a show together called Tie Talk. You'll see it on there. Me and Corey, we're on SEC After Dark. Corey does Beast of the East with Vinny and Israel. Me and Stacey, of course, do Best of the West. I mean, there's so many others. I think DGD podcast is echoing. I mean, I don't know. There's so many that does it now. I can't even keep up with them all. I mean, it's an awesome little network that we got going on. So make sure you tune into all those other shows and appreciate it.
I was telling a friend at work, just like I think like Wednesday, he's an Auburn fan. I said the great thing about subscribing to our YouTube channel is that you're going to get Auburn content. You're going to get more than just Alabama. You're going to get all of the SEC. So
yeah.
I think that's what makes this echoing thing so great and so fantastic, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely, this is great, and it's looking really, really good. And we're just growing. And if you want to start your own podcast,
I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like Jake has frozen. And that's not the first time it's happened. Jake's
podcast and got
there you go. Hey, Jake, can you hear me, buddy? Some high quality stuff going on right here, guys. Jake's internet has failed him again.
Don't you say anything, Corey.
He got too excited. All right, hey guys, I'm going to send us out just in case Jake's internet messes up again. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. The chat was fun. I appreciate everybody doing it. Next time, hopefully we have a longer show so we can be more in tune with the chat and kind of go off the rails like we try to do here on the Y'all's Conference Network. But if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give this video a huge thumbs up, and we would greatly appreciate that. For Stacey Blackwood and Jake Thomas, this has been Best of the West. Y'all take care and roll tide.
Roll Tide.